Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked this week. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right, I actually have three TWSBI VAC 700R in the iris. Now, you might actually ask why. Well, I'm just finding I'm liking writing with them. So I have one inked up in a green ink, one in a purple, and one in a red. Although, as you can see, these are probably getting quite low now. I also have the Benu Scepter here, inked up this week. I have a Wild Eversharp Decoband Oversize, and this is in the wild. I have a Visconti Machina. I have a Visconti St. Basil. I have a Visconti Homo Sapiens, and this is the Midnight in Florence, a Visconti Homo Sapiens Blue Lagoon, and a Visconti Daedalus. So, I think let's take a look at these pens in a little bit more detail. So, this is the TWSBI VAC 700R Iris, and I have to say, I have been wanting to write a lot in notebooks lately for work, and for me, I am finding the TWSBIs are pretty good. And I always knew that about the TWSBI Diamond 580s that I had. This one has a broad nib on it, and you can see that there. But the reason why I like the TWSBIs for several reasons. One, it has a huge ink capacity. And I can also see that ink capacity. So I'm never going to run out of ink, or if I am getting low, I can refill it. So I always know what ink is left in that body of the pen. The second thing is that I find TWSBI nibs never dry out. And I know some people will say they do. I have left TWSBI Diamond 580 ALs inked up for 6 to 12 months, and they write straight away out of the cap when I pulled them out of my pen drawer. The only exception I would say is if it has shimmer ink or very high, very sheening ink. So this one is inked up with a lovely green ink. I have another TWSBI VAC 700R Iris, and this is really running out. I've written a lot with this throughout this week, and this is a purple ink. So I have that one inked up, and this one is a medium nib. And the other thing that I like about these nibs is that I have actually been writing more with medium nibs, and mostly because I am writing more in a notebook. So for me, I am finding writing with a medium nib, a TWSBI nib, which is essentially a Yovo nib. It's a customized Yovo nib that I'm not having to wait for ink to dry, and they start up straight away. And also, if I lost that pen, I would be a little bit upset because it is the Iris, but I wouldn't be as upset as if, say, I lost a Wild Eversharp or one of these Viscontis, for instance, at work. So for me, this is why I have been writing with these a lot. And then I have another TWSBI VAC 700R Iris here again, so it's the flame torched version. But this one is inked up with a beautiful, fiery, I want to say red ink. Yeah, I guess it is. It's a reddish orange or an orangish red. But I do like this ink a lot, and you can just see that sloshing around there. So in terms of the nib, I think that's a broad nib I've got there. I'll try and get it on camera. Let's focus a bit. It's always a little bit difficult with these flame torch nibs. But again, I'm liking that. So I've been writing a lot with that one this week as well. And I probably will refill these for the coming week. And maybe they may appear on next week's currently inked. Maybe they won't. Who knows? We'll see. The next pen here is a Benu Scepter, and this, I believe, is the number 6. This is a beautiful pen. I like this a lot. It's a glittery pen. It's got these lovely twisted facets like you would see on a scepter. It's a small pen and it cannot be posted. and it does have a number 5 size nib, but I do still like writing with these. So for me, this is another one that I have had inked up this week. It's a cartridge converter pen. I just like it. It's a interesting pen for me, and it writes really well. So I have that one inked up this week as well. The next pen here is a Wild Eversharp, and this is the Decoband Oversize in the Wild, and this is a stunning material. I have a number of pens in this Wild or Wild Side material. It's a material that Omas, before they shut their doors, used to make in pens, and it is absolutely beautiful. It's like a lightning rod. It's brilliant. So this one writes very, very wet. I've got a ruthenium coloured nib, so it's a black nib. It's an 18 karat gold nib with an ebonite feed. It's supposed to be a medium nib, but they write very wet and quite broad, so it really writes, I would say, more towards a broad. But I have that one inked up with me this week as well. The next pen is my beautiful Visconti Leonardo da Vinci Machina, and I absolutely love this pen. It's a scrimshaw pen, and you can just see the amount of work that has gone into the inscriptions here on that body. It really is stunning, and I have to say, it really reminds me of some of the pens that that you see with other scrimshaw, and I would really like the Ryan Crusacks of this world, and I would really like to maybe pick up a Ryan Crusack pen at some point with some of his scrimshaw laser etching and filling. So these are, I believe these are laser etched, or maybe it is done by a tool, but I think it's laser because it's so small. And then it's backfilled with, I believe, Visconti say ink or a dye powder to make it stand out more. It's a beautiful pen. Has the Medici, Visconti Medici Acrysilk material here as well. I just love it. I love it a lot. And it has the newer 18 karat gold nib from Visconti. This is a medium nib, but I find this is really, really nice pen, and I absolutely love how that pen writes. The next pen here is and some people may say this is a bit bling, this is the Visconti St. Basil. So this is made of a celluloid material. It's got these lovely blue, red and black, little bit of purple hue going on there. It's a celluloid material. And it is stunning. It's made of the same material that the Visconti Speakeasy was made of. It does have a red ruby in the cap finial there that you can see, and I'll just twist that so you can see that sparkle. And then it has this inlaid inscription going on here of St. Basil, and then another inscription there. So this is a really, really beautiful pen. It's a double reservoir Powervac filler, and it has the 23 cap palladium nib there, and that's a medium nib. And again, I love how this writes. I love the size. It's a weighty pen, but it's not super weighty. And I do love how this writes. It has a little bit of a bounce to the nib as well. So for me, that is again a very good writer. It's a wet writing nib, and it's just a pen that I love to write with. The next pen here is the Visconti, and this is a Homo sapiens, and it is the Midnight in Florence. So this is a purpley pen, and it's got some blues in it there that you can see. Most of the barrel or body of the pen is obscured by this colour, but then you have a little bit of a sort of a peeking in to see how much ink is in that body. It has a standard Visconti bridge clip, and it has the older style 23 cap palladium nib. It's a medium nib. It's a hook safe lock mechanism, which again I love. It's a double reservoir. It's a power vac filler. Again, I love those features, and I am just in awe. I do like the Visconti Homo sapiens range or model from Visconti. It's, for me, the perfect size, the perfect weight. I love that it has a very large 2.5 milliliter of ink capacity, and I love the older 23 karat palladium nibs. However, this new one here, the Visconti Homo sapiens Blue Lagoon, has one of the newer 18 karat gold nibs. And again, though, that this is another beautiful sort of mix of resin here. You can see a little bit more in the body or the barrel of the pen there. I like it. I do like this Blue Lagoon. Again, it has the standard Visconti bridge clip. It has the hook safe lock mechanism, which is a quarter of a turn. This does have the newer 18 karat gold nib. It's a medium nib. It has a double reservoir. It's a power vac filler. And again, like, these are just, they fit my hand so well. And I really love these pens. I love writing with them. I find that they are the perfect balance, at least for me. I know it won't be the perfect balance for everybody, but for me, these are the pens that I find that I can write the most amount of writing with more comfortably. So for me, that's I think that's what counts when I'm writing a lot of notes or writing letters. I do find those pens more comfortable. And then the last pen I have inked up this week is the Visconti Daedalus, and you can see here it has the maze, and you also have a bull's head there, and it says Daedalus, and you've got the horns there as well. This is made of a beautiful blue material, and it has silver dust inside it. It's just a stunning, and then obviously you have this silver overlay as well, and it is real silver. So it really is a beautiful pen. It comes with the older 23 karat palladium nib. It's a medium nib, but again, this is just a pen that I like writing with. It has a screw thread. It does have a double reservoir and a power vac filling mechanism. So again, it does hold 2.5 milliliters of ink. But it's a screw thread, so it's not quite the same as the Homo sapiens. But honestly, when you look at the size there, it's not far off. It's a little bit thicker in terms of diameter. Certainly the cap is slightly longer, but it is a lot heavier because of that silver. So that's my currently inked pens for this week. I think let's now go and do a writing sample. So the first pen is the TWSBI VAC 700R Iris. So I think let's do an ink swatch here. And this is inked up. I have actually, and I do this a lot with my pens. When I find an ink that I want to write with, I will just ink, and maybe it matches the color of the pen, although clearly in this case it's a demonstrator. But I tend to then just keep re-inking that pen up most of the time with the same ink. So this is the TWSBI, it's the VAC 700R, and it's the Iris, and this is a double check. It is a broad nib, and it is a steel nib, and the ink in here is Diamine Mistletoe, which is a really lovely Christmassy coloured green ink, and it's an ink that I've had inked up in that pen ever since. The next pen here is again another TWSBI VAC 700R Iris. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now, this is a medium nib, so it is a lot finer, and honestly, I really want to say that this medium is more of a fine to me. But I guess it's probably not. But this is a TWSBI VAC 700R in the Iris. But you can see the difference really between what is a broad and a medium here. And I'd almost say it's a medium fine, perhaps. So this is a medium steel nib. And then the ink in here is diamine. And it is violet. Which is actually, I didn't think I was going to like this colour of purple or violet. But it is an ink that started to grow on me and I have been writing with a lot. The next pen is again another TWSBI VAC 700R Iris. So we'll do an ink swatch on this. Now we are back to essentially a broad nib, and I have to say with JoWo nibs, I typically do prefer broad rather than medium. And these are JoWo nibs, but they're customized by TWSBI, or customized for TWSBI, I should say. So this is a TWSBI VAC 700R in the Iris. Again, it's a broad nib, but it's a steel nib. And then the ink in here is, again, another Christmassy one. It's Diamine Fire Embers. And I have to say, this is a very nice, bright, punchy red. And when I think of Christmas, I think of green, and obviously for mistletoe, I think of red for Santa Claus. So for me, that is a nice, nice red ink. The next pen is the Benu Scepter number 6. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this has a Schmidt nib on it, and it is a little bit more crisper than I'm used to. I'm just going to double check this nib because I think it is a broad nib, yeah. So this is the Benu, and it's the Scepter, and it's the number 6. It's a broad steel nib, but it's not a JoWo, it's not a Bock, it's a Schmidt nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine, and it's Earl Grey. But that, for me, it has pencil feedback, and it's a little bit more crisp on the edges of the nib. A little bit more stub-like, I would say, but I do like writing with that, though, a lot. The next pen is the Weil Eversharp Decoband Oversize in the Wild. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now, I said that this is a medium nib, but typically they write more broader, and this does, and it's super wet as well. So this is a Weil Eversharp, and it's the Decoband, and it's the oversize. I'm just wondering if I can fit this all on in the Wild. Yeah, it's a medium, and it's an 18 cat gold nib. Just about fit that on the page there. And then the ink in here is Waterman, and it's intense black, which is, I'd have to say, a black ink that I like a lot. I want to say it may have even been my first ever ink I bought. It was either that, or I think it was Waterman Florida or Serenity Blue, maybe. The next pen inked up this week is the Visconti Leonardo da Vinci Machina. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now you can see that this is a much finer nib, but it's also quite a wet nib as well. So for me, I like wet writing nibs. So this excites me when I pick up a pen to write with, because I do like wet writing nibs. So this is the Visconti, and I'll put in here Leonardo da Vinci Machina. And it is a medium, and it's the newer 18 cat gold nibs from the in-house nibs from Visconti. And then the ink in here is Ackerman, and it's SBRE Brown. But that is a very, very nice writing nib, and I really do like writing with that. Another one I love writing with a lot, again, is this Visconti St. Basil. So we'll do an ink swatch. And again, hopefully you can see here, this is quite a wet writing nib. And I do like wet writers, so this appeals to me more. So this is the Visconti St. Basil, and it is a medium, and it's a 23 cat palladium nib. And then the ink in here is Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red, which is a really beautiful red ink. It's a darker red ink. It's not as bright or punchy as maybe the Diamine Fire Embers, but it's still a red ink that I like a lot. The next pen is the Visconti Homo Sapiens, and this is the Midnight in Florence. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And again, this is a wet writing nib. And typically I find this of a lot of Viscontis. So this is the Visconti Homo Sapiens, and it's Midnight in Florence. And that's where Visconti are from, Florence in Italy. So this is a medium, and it's the older 23 cat palladium nibs. And then the ink in here is KWZ Gummy Berry, which is a lovely purple ink and has become one of my favourite purples. Diamine Majestic Purple, Diamine Imperial Purple are definitely, certainly Diamine Majestic Purple is my number one. Diamine Imperial Purple starting to come up the ranks. I'd say KWZ Gummy Berry is probably second. Then, I don't know if you'd call it a purple, but Pilot Iroshizuku Aji Sei is actually becoming very, very popular in on that list. So for me, that's a beautiful ink as well. The next pen, again, is another Visconti Homo Sapiens, and this is the Blue Lagoon. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now, this is a medium nib, and it is it's a dry ink as well. So, but I do find that this nib writes dry, even though it's a Visconti. So this is the Visconti Homo Sapiens, and it's the Blue Lagoon. And it is a medium, and it's the newer 18 cat gold nib. But I do find that this writes not only dry, but it writes more like a Western fine for me. The ink in here is Diamine, and it's Aqua Lagoon. But Aqua Lagoon is an ink that I like, but I do find it can write a little bit dry in a lot of pens. And then the final pen I have here is the Visconti Daedalus. So I think let's do an ink swatch. And this, again, like this is, I mean, actually have a high saturated ink in here. So it is writing a little bit on the dry side. Although I've just realized actually that the double reservoir is empty. So I'm just going to flood that reservoir, put a bit more ink in there, and that'll probably write a little bit wetter. So this is the Visconti Daedalus, and it is a medium, and it's a 23 cat palladium nib. And then the ink in here is diamine. Actually, no, it's not. I'm just thinking about this. It's not a diamine ink. It is Visconti blue. I have been using diamine imperial blue quite a lot lately, and that's why I was thinking it was a diamine ink. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. So we have a TWSBI VAC 700R Iris in a broad steel nib, inked up with diamine mistletoe. We have a TWSBI VAC 700R Iris in a medium steel nib, inked up with diamine violet. We have a TWSBI VAC 700R Iris in a broad steel nib, inked up with diamine fire embers. We have a Benu Scepter number 6 in a broad steel nib, inked up with diamine Earl Grey. We have a Wild Eversharp Decoband Oversize in the Wild in a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Waterman Intense Black. We have a Visconti Leonardo da Vinci Machina in a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Akerman SBRE Brown. We have a Visconti St. Basil in a medium 23 karat palladium nib, inked up with Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens Midnight in Florence in a medium 23 karat palladium nib, inked up with KWZ Gummy Berry. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens Blue Lagoon in a medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Diamine Aqua Lagoon. And then we have a Visconti Daedalus in a medium 23 karat palladium nib, inked up with Visconti Blue. So there you have it. That's my currently inked pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye-bye.